Hi everyone, I wanted to get on here tonight to talk about something that is one of the most frequently asked questions on here. What makes Jehovah's Witnesses a cult? So let's get into it. First of all, as a southerner, I just have to say, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Moving on. What is a cult? That's the important question, right? Let's make this really easy to show that I am referencing something and this is not all just a matter of opinion. I'm going to get my laptop. So all you have to do is type in, what is a cult? A cult is a term often applied to new religious movements and other social groups which have unusual and often extreme religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs and rituals. Extreme devotion to a particular person, object, or goal is another characteristic often ascribed to cults. Now let's look up what is a religion, because there is a difference. A religion is the belief in and worship of a superhuman power or powers, especially a god or gods, or a particular system of faith and worship, or a pursuit or interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance. Now let's answer the question, what's the difference between a religion and a cult? A religion respects the individual's autonomy. A cult enforces compliance. That's going to be the most important thing I'm going to point out. But you're free to look at the rest if you'd like. Now for the topic of our video, what makes Jehovah's Witnesses a cult? To explain this, I'm going to be using the BITE model created by Dr. Stephen Hassan. He is a mental health professional who specializes in cults. He actually survived a cult and escaped one and deprogrammed from one, and since then has dedicated his life to helping others to deprogram from cults. So if we look at the BITE model here, we have behavior control, information control, thought control, and emotional control. So the one I'm going to be highlighting for behavior control is dependence and obedience. For information, I'm going to be pointing out discourages access to outside sources of information. And for thought control, encourages only good and proper thoughts. For emotional control, guilt manipulation. I'm going to be highlighting those because those are the ones that stick out to me whenever I think of my experience being a Jehovah's Witness when I was still in. So, in what way does Jehovah's Witnesses tick off these boxes? Starting with behavioral control. Jehovah's Witnesses check the box for behavioral control because they limit your association with who you're allowed to spend time with and who you're not allowed to spend time with. They also tell you who you can and cannot have sex with. They also guilt trip you and manipulate you and fearmonger you into confessing any type of sin. And they also encourage their members to monitor and report on other members. Most of all, they tell you what you can and cannot do. Next up, how do Jehovah's Witnesses check the box for informational control? Well, that's easy. They tell you that you can't get any information about the religion outside of their website, jw.org. It is strictly forbidden for Jehovah's Witnesses to research anything about their religion that is not directly given to them by the leaders of their organization. They also forbid their members from talking to former members, and they try to silence anybody who tries to speak out and give access to information about things that may reveal the darker side of their religion. Next up, how do Jehovah's Witnesses check the box for thought control? Well, they are constantly referring to their embodiment of beliefs as the truth, meaning that anything else is a lie. Anybody that claims that it's not the truth is a liar or is being deceived or influenced. They believe, or they teach, that anybody that doesn't believe in the Jehovah's Witness beliefs either wasn't chosen by God to have their eyes and heart opened up to the truth, or they're being influenced by the devil, or they're being deceived by apostates, which they call the devil's tools. Now, last but not least, emotional control. How do Jehovah's Witnesses use emotional control, proving that they are a cult? Well, they strictly enforce that anybody that tries to leave their religion or say they don't believe in their religion and simply not live by all of these really strict guidelines and rules that they have, those people have to be shunned by their family and friends. And since when you're a Jehovah's Witness, you're technically only allowed to spend time with those that are in the religion, if you leave the religion, you have nobody. So they strip you of your entire support system if you try to leave. If that's not emotional blackmail, I don't know what is. Secondly, they talk about something called Armageddon, also known as Doomsday or the end of the world. And they use this Armageddon as a way to scare people into staying Jehovah's Witnesses, because they teach that if you try to leave the religion, if you say it's not the truth, well then you're going to die a terrible death in Armageddon. They even say that birds will peck your eyeballs out. This right here is a picture directly from their website, jw.org. All you have to do is type in Armageddon in the search bar on jw.org, and you will find loads of propaganda like this that they use to scare people into staying in the cult. Because you see, they threaten that if you leave or if you don't believe in it anymore, they teach people that God is going to destroy you with fire sent down from heaven when the end of the world comes. So, yeah. And there's even scarier pictures than this. The fear-mongering is so strong that you can ask almost any ex-Jehovah's Witness and they'll tell you that whenever things like a thunderstorm or an earthquake, tornado, or hurricane happens, they get scared because they have something called doomsday trauma. So that there are times that even people that wake up from this cult and realize that what they teach is false, is lies, it's not real, even after people leave, that fear is so real from what they endured in the cult and all the propaganda that they were constantly given, that they still have a fear sometimes that's triggered whenever there's certain events. It reminds them of whenever they were taught about Armageddon. It's psychological abuse. And that's going to conclude the video on the topic, why Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult. Feel free to ask any questions.